Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Gator.
Here.
Mr. Korn, present.
As you wish, stand for the pledge and the invocation. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, be with us today as we go about doing our business and what we can do the best we can and make the best decisions we can. Dear Lord, be with our families that are needing you. Be with the ones that are calling you home, calling them home. Dear Lord, I ask this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
We do want to amend the agenda. We want to add permission to purchase 2 Sheriff's Department cars. So motion to amend.
I'll make a motion that we amend the agenda for permission to purchase 2 Sheriff Department cars.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
That'll be on the end of our regular agenda, so we're in the meeting. Okay, consent agenda is as posted, and the public hearing is ready to notice. It'll be held here before our meeting on August 22nd at 10 o'clock. So, motion to accept the consent agenda, please say aye, or, motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're getting like me.
Yeah, there you go. Bid opening?
There's only one bid that came in this morning before the time. It is here.
Do we have a representative of that bid here? I don't see it.
I don't see it.
Okay.
Okay. The bid is $15,416, and it's by Chris Briley of Briley Heating and Cooling.
Okay.
And that appeared in the paper.
And its course.
And it's ran its course, because I say that because that's relative of our maintenance guy, and we want to make sure that everybody had the opportunity, everybody was published. And so if you decide to award that, I want that duly noted.
Okay, and it's been publicly open now, the sealed bid, so we will take, I'm sure that, you'll see Brian here, we'll take that under advisement, probably act on it soon in their order. Okay, bid opening is closed. Bid opening is closed, okay. Discussion of possible approval of, we've been approached by the National Center of Public Lands to donate $1,000 to continue the process. Now, we've gained $100,000 this year from that funding, and so it's a 1% donation that they're asking for. And the way I read the letter, it's a one-time deal. It's not a perpetual situation. Motion to accept, and then we can discuss.
Yeah, okay, I'll make the motion that we, our possibility of, or to approve the National Center of Public Lands, $1,000.
Second?
I'll second that. Now, this is the money, Bridget, this is the money that we get from the public lands, like the Mark DeForest. Which one
No,
is?
so if you guys are gonna do this, you need to say that, it's out of the LATCF funds, because that's what this is about.
Okay.
Okay. To be paid for on the
LATCF.
That's what I didn't get on.
LATCF, sorry.
I didn't bring the letter.
LATCF. And I didn't see that, that's.
Okay. Any other questions on this? Yeah, Rich?
Have we always received money from this organization?
Parks, Bridget?
Second year?
Right, it's actually out of the ARPA funding, it's a part of the ARPA reporting.
I didn't know it was part of the ARPA.
This is our
Yeah.
second payment on our.
Right,
second
and that's all
payment.
we're gonna get.
But it may be, I think it's once a year. They did, it looked like it was in 1 year, the way it paid out, but it's actually our second payment we received.
Right.
of it.
You
And
got
that's all we're gonna
50,000
get.
the last check, so, okay.
Yeah, it's a one-time thing that we got
Okay.
from the ARPA, yeah.
And this is just so they can kind of try to keep that system going, I guess, is the way I read the letter.
Commissioners, I think I'd always pay $1,000 to receive $100,000.
Yeah, that's kind of the drop on it, yeah.
Well, and well, like I was telling Bridget, and I think this is like the federal lands that you receive money. I think Washington County, Iron County received way more than we do because they had so much more federal properties than we do.
I don't think that's part of it.
But that isn't part of it. That's what I was saying
No.
was part of it.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor of, I guess you call it a donation of this $1,000 for this, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, Jay,
There we go. Morning, Jay Graff, Recorder of Deeds. We're asking the commission to approve us moving our digital records off-site. And a description of that is with Fiddler. The Bastion service description, as it reads in our agreement with them, Bastion replaces the need for an on-site server infrastructure within your office for Fiddler's Avid land record software. The hosted infrastructure that Bastion provides alleviates the need and cost of an on-site application server, obligatory software licensing fees, and backup procedures traditionally required with localized technical operations. Security measures are heightened with a secondary off-site repository that backs up the hosted servers, ensuring the safekeeping of county data in the event of a disaster. If Bastion primary server environment were ever jeopardized, the secondary retention facility will have your office resuming activity within hours. In the event of a cyber attack or server weather occurrence, severe weather occurrence, the county will be notified within an hour and will be updated on a regular basis until resolved. If there's no resolution within 8 hours, all affected counties will be moved to a backup environment. So there's a backup to the backup, that which relieves us from having our regular our server now is in our basement, and if you had to have a second server, which we don't have, we would be in a pickle. So the next thing is the cost of that. It's a one-time $5,000 setup fee, and then after that, it's quarterly payments of $3,050 for that service. So
I just now realized I don't have the name of that company on there. It's Bastion.
that is Fiddler. It's not a company. That is just one of the services that Fiddler offers through
Okay, so it's
their company.
what you call a division of them or something like
Right,
that?
right.
Okay. All right. Tell me, okay, we know what the cost will be, but what cost will we not have?
I believe every 5 or 6 years.
Every 5 years, you gotta replace your servers. And so that's gonna be a cost that you're not gonna have. This first one-time fee is gonna pay for your server for them. After that, you will.
Okay, then every 5 years or so, what does that cost be?
For just the server, I mean, you're looking probably about $4,000, maybe 4.5, but then you gotta go to your.
$1,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
$4,000, $4,500 a year. You gotta put your programs and stuff on it, so you.
$4,500 a year?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sorry, for every 4 or 5 years.
Okay, right, so about $1,000 a year.
But you also have run the risk of, we have a power surge and it fries the server.
Okay.
If that happens under this, we don't have to pay for that, Fiddler pays for that, correct? They can do all the maintenance, we wouldn't have that problem. Or if the building gets wiped away, we don't have to run down the street to try to find our server if it sucks out, because it's at Fiddler's place.
Okay.
We got backup.
So basically, it's gonna cost us a little bit more per year, but
Yes.
be enhanced safety and
Absolutely.
backup.
The IT department is definitely on board with this. Like I said, we'll have off-site backups that aren't here, which is a good thing. They're saying they'll get us back up in a few hours, and it could be a couple days for us. I mean, if we can find everything, find a place and do all that, so.
Okay. Motion?
Can't make a motion, we go through the Fiddler Technologies and their
Bastion
program.
Fortress
Yeah.
Security.
For the annual price of $12,200 and a one-time purchase of equipment of $5,000.
Second.
I'll second.
Questions? Yeah, Rich?
I think it would be appropriate when we do things like this, we really do know the total costs that we are offloading, or the total cost of what we're not doing anymore.
Okay.
Because, you know, we're taking care of deeds here and important records. I consider this a very expensive alternative to what we have in place right now. Granted, it's more work on our part, more on-site labor.
You mean currently it's more work on?
Yeah, you know, I think this is an expensive alternative to offloading the work we're doing here on site and working to ensure we don't suffer any cyber attacks in our deed system. That's just my point.
Any other comments?
What is the opt-out on this?
Opt-out?
Is there an opt-out? I mean, is this a permanent contract?
No, we can opt out. It says an opt-out situation, which we can just terminate it within 30 days. You just write a letter and be done with it.
And are there any other options besides Fiddler on this, or?
There are, but they're similar in price. Have you seen that, Nick, anywhere
Yeah, I
as
mean,
far as?
The problem whenever you get into, I mean, we're already using Fiddler, we'll get too many fingers in the pot. I mean, I think if we were to use a different off-site backup or of that sort, I don't think, I mean, would it work? Yes. Would it be more, you know, I don't want to say easier, but more convenient would be a good word, but it's gonna be something that, like I said, we don't have too many fingers in the pot. You start getting a lot of fingers and it gets back to the point game. When it doesn't work, well, this company says to call that company says call them back, and you're pointing the finger game, just trying to figure it out. At least if you have one person to call, it makes it a lot easier when something does happen.
Nick, I was gonna ask you a question on this too. You know, back before we were talking about the court records files we were looking in, is this similar to that then too?
Yeah.
Because I mean, the future, when the records pile, I mean, we're having storage situations where this is similar to those records, how we can protect them in the future.
Well, these here are just gonna be the recorder of deeds and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I mean, we definitely need to look at something.
I was trying to compare them in the future, the way
Yeah.
we're going, how we'd look into that.
Yeah, Rich?
Was this budgeted for this year, Jay?
I'm sorry. No, this would be for the
This
2024
is
budget.
2020, okay,
Yeah.
and it will be in the budget for next year.
Right, that's what the request is.
Good question. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Jay. Permission to apply for a grant. I think we're gonna hear from Mike Ryan on this.
Good morning, Mike Ryan, St. Francis County Sheriff's Department. This is a grant through Missouri Department of Public Safety. It's the local violent crimes prevention grant. It's a $25,000 block grant. There's no matching. There's a list of approved items in the grant. What we'd be looking for would be a mobile license plate reader and fingerprint scanners, biometric equipment. With the addition of officers we've added to patrol in the last year, we do currently have fingerprint scanners in patrol vehicles, where a subject fails to identify, it's a Bluetooth little scanner fingerprint, you can get identification on scene. We don't have enough for all of our patrol officers with the addition that we've had over the last couple of years, so this grant would allow us to purchase a couple more of those, as well as mobile license plate readers, which attach to a patrol vehicle. It's the same thing as Flock.
One, or how many?
I've reached out to both of the companies to get prices on them. I don't have it yet, so I don't know how many we can get with this $25,000. I have a Zoom tomorrow with Axon, who does the mobile license plate readers. Flock does not. I made contact with them, so I don't have the prices on those yet. So that's basically what we're looking at with this grant to purchase, is the mobile license plate readers and then the fingerprint scanners.
And it is a $25,000.
$25,000 block, no matching.
No match?
And that's amazing technology on that license plate reader.
Yes.
That's something else. Okay, yes.
While we have here, and the sheriff's here, we had talked about this, about if we develop the park, the need for security. And so we want to make sure that that's in their budget for next year, if you're going to do that, if we're going to have camera there, if we're going to have any type of security there, because we don't want to just fall through and say, well, nobody put it in their budget that we had to put these security measures in. So I mentioned that you may want to get with Commissioner Buckley and talk about the things so that the people will actually go to the park after we open it.
You're talking about continuing security.
Well, it could be continuing, I'd say starting would be if we put gates and cameras, we would be moving their security on that park up huge, and I think that would make people feel a lot safer if they knew exactly. I went there Saturday to show my son-in-law. We went to the dump and went by there, and I wouldn't have been comfortable with the 2 people in the car shooting up that were there if it was my wife sending her over. Whereas if we have camera surveillance, I think a lot of that will go away. But my point is, you're wanting to build a park this next year, we need to make sure we put the security in it, or people aren't gonna come.
Okay.
Well, the whole issue on that, where everybody grew up, it's named Owl Creek. And we grew up with Bone Hole, and everybody knows fishing. We gotta get rid of the Bone Hole. That park will be bid this year, bid out. There'll be walking trails. And if you're familiar with the parks now, or go to them, the bike and the walking trails, they are really well used. And when that comes out, the asphalt walking trails are in, there'll be people over there ready to go for something new. And you know, in stages, that park, the first stage will be a 4-mile walking trail. And once they use that trail, they'll understand we need to protect it right off the bat, like Kevin's saying, to make sure that we can secure that area. And then the development later on, I think you'll see as we get into it, that can be a really big
Oh,
part.
I think it's gonna be great. I mean, great. But if we step out in the wrong way and don't have the security, we're gonna stub our toe at the very start of it. People going, well, we're not gonna go over there. And I went over there the other day, there was a bunch of drug deals going on, or there was teenagers drink. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So my point is, for that to happen, somebody has to put this stuff that you were talking about in the budget for this year.
Right.
This coming year.
Well, and then this grant Mike's talking about, just like Bridget we talked about. There's money out here that yearly,
Yeah.
Mike and them know what they need out there. And I talked to him yesterday on it. They know what they need, and we can put Kevin's advice into that.
Okay, Dan?
To make sure.
Yeah, and we've already talked about this. This security camera at Owl Creek has nothing to do with this grant or what he's talking about. That is actually the flock cameras that we have already discussed, and we're in the process of doing.
But most of the flock cameras are stationary.
Yes.
This is portable, mobile.
Yes.
That's the first time I've heard of mobile.
Yeah, this is something altogether different.
Yeah. Okay.
Same concept,
Yeah.
but it'll be on a patrol vehicle. So you can, anywhere you're driving in that vehicle, it'll be equipped with LPRs, and you can get a hit on a plate or a stolen vehicle or.
Love the technology on that. Okay.
Well, and the really whole thing on this is just like I say, that's $25,000 grant that we didn't pay attention to, that we used. Here's money that we get, it's not ours, that we can use.
Yeah.
And that's what we want.
The mobile ones are through Axon, which we've already used with tasers, so have used that company before. I'll have more information tomorrow on it. There might be a yearly fee in reference to data collection and saving and stuff like that, but I'll have more information tomorrow on that.
Okay, now we've drifted into 2 conversations here. One of them is for the grant.
Correct.
And the other is for the park.
Exactly.
And what we're talking about on the park is to make it family friendly. We've got to have a family friendly park out there so people will use it. And that's what our goal is. Okay, but now on the subject of the grant.
I'm gonna make a motion. We give them permission to apply for this $25,000 grant from the SYF 2024 Local Violent Crime Prevention Grant. No
I'll
match.
second that.
Questions?
When's it due, Mike?
April 16th. Should have it completed this week. I'll get it to Bridget for review.
August 16th.
August. Thank you.
Yeah.
It starts with an A.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor of giving Mike permission to apply, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
No, Mike, we appreciate that effort. Okay, we need to create a line item account for this item. Who wants to talk? Louis?
So commissioners, for a number of years, certain office holders have been paying the dues and memberships to the Chambers of Commerce, and I'd like to introduce for the budget for the next year to include all dues to the Chambers of Commerce in St. Francis County to fall under your line item for dues and memberships to increase the budget by $2,500 to include the chambers of Bismarck, Vonterre, Deloge, Park Hills, and Farmington.
Is it Bismarck? You said Bismarck.
Did you mean Leadington, Park Hills? Okay. I didn't hear Leadington in there.
Okay, Bismarck,
All right.
Vonterre, Park Hills, Leadington,
Okay.
Deloge,
Yes.
and Farmington.
All right, good. Motion.
I'll make a motion that we create a line item account for the St. Francis County area chambers to come out of the budget for the 2024 general revenue,
Second?
Under the county commission.
under the county commission.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay.
And I wanted to say, I don't get to go to a lot of the chamber meetings. I go to what I can, but, you know, they do a good for the county because there's a lot of people there that work, they don't get paid for, and they help business that actually brings tax money into the county, and they do a lot of work for nothing. So I really appreciate all of them, and that's why I thank Louis for doing this.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's not just for elected officials, that's, employees can go to these chambers events as well, so it's not just for the office holders, it is also for the employees of the county as well.
You're right. Thank you. Questions, comments? Rich, did you say something?
No, I think Carrie put it to
Okay.
bed for me.
Bob, did you have something?
Is there total dollar amount that we're looking
Bob,
at?
Louis, you said 2,500.
I said $2,500.
Oh, okay. I missed that,
To
sorry.
increase it $2,500.
Okay. Okay,
Let me say one thing about the chambers.
yes.
And Kerry did a good job on that, but the reason that we talked about this a year or two ago, why we should be supportive of the chamber, their job is to try to create more business and retail business, which we benefit from directly by our sales tax. And so if we can help them get more retailers in, that gets our,
Those people work hard, they really do.
In our hearts in it. Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, sir. Okay, again, the Senate Bill 190. Kevin, you want to talk about your work on that?
on the
Senate Bill 190.
Yes, Senate Bill 190 is passed, got problems. We're going to work on it, and Eric, I know you've told Eric that you want him to project. I know it's your desire to go ahead and pass it, but right now, it's got about 4 major things in there that will cause us lawsuits if we adapt it immediately. So this will give us time. We've got a meeting next week.
Who's we?
We, this committee that's set up to try to come up with the problems. For example, when it said, the Senate should have did their job, I make no excuse for them, they should have vetted this better, but when it says, if you qualify for Social Security, well, okay, does that mean 62? Does that mean full Social Security? Does that, what does that mean?
Do you have to be retired?
Do you have to be retired? What is those definite, that should have been tightened, and it could have been tightened. Also, teachers don't qualify. Railroad workers don't qualify because they don't get Social Security. So they, with their loose definition of if you qualify for Social Security, they don't qualify. So we're having a meeting to try to get them to come up with legislation that will correct the problem. In that we're also going to probably sue them to clarify some of these things too. Maybe we'll come to the table. The problem is you're in an election year, and that's why I told this group to think that they're just going to correct it when one of your gubernatorial candidate wants to get rid of personal property taxes, and you open the same chapter up so that if you do this correction, you open the chapter to get rid of personal property taxes. It's not going to be as easy as you think. So we're going to come up with a couple things, try to meet with the governor, try to meet with the leadership, try to meet with the people that are going to cause the problems, and see if we can get the correction so that when Eric gets the thing equalized, we'll be able to adopt it. Because we can't just go and say, we don't want to do this, we're against this, and we're not against it. But if we implement it right now, all we're gonna be is a bunch of lawsuits. Why didn't you include me? You know, why you, and that's gonna, so hopefully we can get some clarification on that.
Another thing about 190, it says that they will freeze property taxes. Now, we have a real estate tax
Yeah,
and we
they
have a
do
personal
define
property
taxes.
tax. So what is that? We don't know what that
It's,
is.
it's poorly written, but because of the egos over there, and I was one of them, you can't go tell them that you handed us a turd and now you expect us to polish it. Or you're gonna have to say, oh, we think this was a great idea, we just need some clarification here. And I don't know how the proper way during an election year, when I don't know if there'll be 10 bills that pass over there, that this is gonna be one of them, especially with Senator Eichel from St. Charles publicly stating that he's gonna go after personal property tax, which is in the same chapter as this. So that if you do a bill, that gives him the opportunity to filibuster and to get some personal property tax gone. I know Rich wanted to.
It is sad, from my point of view, that the legislatures would pass this as poorly crafted as it was. It almost makes me think that they were pandering to the electorate to get reelected, and they really don't give a damn about what's in the bill.
And what one of them said to me is, well, that's okay, tell the commissioners just to turn it down.
Yeah.
In other words, we did our PR job to get it through, just tell them no, if that's got so much, and
Well,
you're.
as usual, they just threw it over the wall.
My son,
And what's that
one of
do
my
for
sons
us?
is writes amendments on the floor. I said, I talked to him this weekend. I said, didn't nobody bring? He's in the House, not in the Senate. I said, didn't anybody bring these problems? He says, I had an amendment written for almost every one of them, and they wouldn't hear it because the Senate said, oh, you can't amend this, or because we can't get it through because Senator Eichel will attach the thing, so you've got to take it exactly as written so that we can adapt it exactly, and all those things had amendments. He said, we had at least 10 to 15 minutes that would have clarified it so that you wouldn't be in the middle of lawsuits. He said they didn't adapt anyway. So just give that.
Well, it's an ongoing process, so thank you.
Excuse me, I want to clarify that Kevin is representing a statewide committee and not the St. Francis County
That's correct.
Committee.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
But they're more optimistic.
I just said a committee, okay. All right.
You guys, is that
Somebody else?
You've got number 6 on the agenda, right? You get to go do that.
You're talking about
Yes.
purchase.
either you're giving her money or you're gonna. raise
No, I was raising my hand.
Okay.
I mean, I work on the campaigns for both the leadership of the House and Senate, and this won't be, they are going to attempt to address it, but they can't push it as long as I go on the conservative caucus still exists.
Well, until they said they're going to get rid of all taxes.
Yep.
So that's,
Okay, moving along. Permission to, this is the amended item that we added. Permission to purchase 2 sheriff's department cars. The reason we pushed this ahead is because those cars are sitting on the lot right now, and if we don't pick them up, somebody else will. They're available for immediate pickup. There's the price. So we think that the next cars available will be 24 miles, and they'll be considerably higher. These are hybrids. They regenerate and run on battery and gasoline. You want to talk more about it?
Well, what we did, the cars were sitting out there. Somebody actually come by and talked about the cars out there, so we went out and checked on them. And I actually went out and drove one, let the guys out there drive it. There were some nays farm, yays farm, but when it all boils down to, we need cars. And these things will, I think Dan might be able to explain what they're gonna use them for, which they'll fit right in. They really get better fuel mileage than a regular car.
And so we're probably gonna take these vehicles and use them for our transport vehicles across the country. Save us a lot of money on fuel, and that will free up some of our other cars to go on with our new road officers.
Awesome.
That is the idea behind it. The reason, one thing, the city of Farmington said if St. Francis County don't take these 2 cars, we want them. So they're sold if we don't take them.
That's why I'm pushing this ahead
Yeah,
now.
that's why.
It's so hard to get
today-
cop cars right now
and,
anyway.
Yes, and we're having a hard time finding vehicles. And, we supposedly have 4 through Pettis, but who knows? We haven't heard back from them.
Well, and then I want to thank Sisms for actually not being real profitable on these cars. They did not make a lot of money on these cars.
They didn't negotiate the price down.
Right.
Where this.
And also now these cars, we gotta do some equipment work to them. But since Dan said, since they're transport vehicles, I mean, they still have to have a cage, right? Dan, and some kind of light system. So we actually have to add to that to get them, on the road what he wants. But I think it was in our best interest to take these cars.
Can I ask the auditor a question? Do you want the
Prop P.
motion to reflect where the money's coming from and the fact that it's a sole provider because of the situation?
Yes.
Not bidding? Okay, so I was just saying that we made the motion that it needs to reflect both of those things.
And on the Prop P, you'll see coming up some very interesting Prop P numbers, so go ahead with that.
I don't know if it makes any difference or not, but we have already bid patrol vehicles out this year and received no bids. So I don't know if that makes any difference on these two or not.
Since this is a sole provider, it covers without having to worry about this.
Dan, can you put 2 new cars into good use?
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's certainly, we're looking for cars all the time.
All right. Okay, I don't have a motion on this yet. Okay, motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve permission to purchase 2 sheriff department cars. And then Kevin, you wanted me to put, this will be paid for out of the Prop P money.
And it's
And it's a
under the sole provider.
Under a sole provider.
There you go.
And the cars will be 54,000 each.
Okay, second.
Second that.
Question, yeah, Rich?
Are these replacing 2 of the ones that Buck is looking for?
No, it is not.
So
Let's just
these
say
are in
additional.
addition to the 4 that
Additional,
Buck is
yeah.
trying to procure.
Yeah. Bob?
And and where was the money coming from for those 4?
Proposition.
Not from Prop P, was it?
Some of that
Yes.
money is Prop P and some of it was from discretionary fund, sheriff department.
For those 4.
Yes.
So these 2 would be totally coming from the Prop P.
Prop P.
Right.
And again, you're gonna hear a little bit more about Prop P in a minute. Yeah, Bob?
Is there a need to have additional money to lights and whatever, the extras that we add, or is that gonna be out of your budget?
I will actually be able to take that out of my budget.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor of purchasing these 2 cars, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Put them to good use, safe use. Next meeting, right here next week. Anybody got any correspondence? Public comments? Yes, Carol?
I want to go back to Kevin's discussion about Elm Creek.
Yeah.
The area already has a reputation.
Right. Yeah.
And I think early and evident security is a must. There's a saying, you can't get back a first impression. And if people.
Say it again, please.
You cannot get back a first
Okay, right.
impression. So if on the opening or, in the early days of this park, if it's very evident, this is a family-oriented place, it's as safe as we can make it right now, I think it will, alleviate what he saw when he took his son.
Well, that's the only thing I was bringing up, because the auditor's making us put together our budget right now, and I just wanted to bring it up. We need to put that in the budget. If you're planning on having open, we need to put the security measures in the budget. I don't know whose budget, if it's gonna be under the commission, since you're developing a park, or if it's gonna be the sheriffs to be able to put some type of camera system out there, but something we need to plan that to give it to Louis so that you have that in the budget for this next year.
Well, one thing right now, and I want to thank John and Clay's group, they are taking the workers down there and done a great job picking up the trash. The trash that was there before, it is all going, but it's not like when you saw that big pile of trash there, they just kept adding to it, and they just kept adding to it. These guys, we got their crew down there, and they clean it up, and they've been back, I know, 2 or 3 times at least, because when I go down there, I don't see a lot of that. You probably didn't see a lot of it yesterday. This is the first step in trying to get the impression of people going down there, oh, this is just a place to dump. Now, that was first step. Now there's more steps to take to where let's put the gate up, dusk to dawn, and then little steps to go from there. But you're right, Carol.
I want to say too, because we went to the transfer station, They were excellent. They moved us in and out of there. There was a line of a dozen trucks waiting to get in, people doing it.
Place is well run. It's
With
well
all
run.
the, well, like we were hauling wet carpet, and unfortunately, I didn't realize water in carpet and padding weighed so much. We were dumping it in the trash can. It's the most expensive dump that we've ever had, but they did a great, they were doing a great job.
The cities enjoy seeing the dumpsters with the lid closed because after a rain, when they go to the landfill, the trash weighs so much more. So anyway.
When he told us the weight, we went, what? And it was just all water.
Is this where you guys had the camera up and they stole the camera?
They stole the camera, yeah.
Well, we had two cameras up, one watching the other one. They stole both of them.
They stole them both.
You know, I had that same
It's a
problem.
situation we'll have to continue.
During the election, I had the same problem. They took the camera.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay, any departmental reports?
I just want to let everybody know, the camera is decided to turn off, but we do have audio, so we'll post a video, but it'll just be the audio of today's meeting.
Well, that's why I didn't work.
This will be better for you.
Better for my, I got a face for radio.
Okay, Parks.
We had an incident last week with luckily Dana in our office called somebody changing their payroll. I know Corey gave a nice compliment to her on the email, but I wanted to just, before with payroll changes, or if you're wanting a new bank or coming from or different accounts, we would just let you send an email on that. We've had 2 or 3 of them now in the last couple of months that luckily caught, what was that thing? But they're good. I mean, these things are, everything looks accurate on it. We want to avoid a check, we want all these things, and luckily, doing our due diligence, we were able to catch it. Dana was able to catch us last one. So we are now requesting, if you want change in your payroll and where your money's going, or a bank, you have to actually come to our office and go do it. It's just not worth it right now. I mean, that could have been one little mistake, that could have been a bad deal there. So just how easy it's getting these emails. I mean, when we had somebody send in from our IT director, I mean, that, you would think an email coming from your IT director with changing his payroll, you wouldn't have to verify so much, but luckily we did. And I remember talking to Nick about it, and he had literally had no, I said,
The biggest thing that the IT department says, if you get an email, you're not expecting an email, call them. Call whoever sent it. Did you send this to me? No, I didn't. Then we need to know. Let the IT department know, hey, they sent me an email, I wasn't expecting, they didn't send it, I don't know where it came from, and we can look into it.
So you're saying that someone was hacked?
well, somehow they got these, and they actually, on this, they actually had his actual email. I mean, it wasn't
They're
a.
spoofing email addresses is what they're doing. They're stealing it and using it and pushing it through, and then when they go back and send the email back through, instead of coming back to me, it went to them, went to their email address. But
Yeah.
they think that they sent it to us.
Yeah, and Nick had in one of his comments that when you get one of those links to hover over it before you punch it. And I had never noticed that before, but it'll show you where it's actually going
Oh, yeah.
when you do that. And I didn't know that, so that was a new piece for me.
Yeah, so if you need any change in your payroll, we just ask that, or tell the employees in your office as well, we actually need them physically come to us to have that change. It
But it's
won't
happened
take
a
long,
couple
it just
times so
needs to
far.
be in. Yeah, it's just, we just hate to mess up one time.
And we hope that that's all that's happened and we caught them all.
So, but yes, I know Corey gave a great shout out to Dana for that, and I appreciate her doing that, and I do think I agree with her, it's good to give those compliments that we get so caught up on everything when there is good that we're doing here. So, Dana did a great job there, and but hopefully we won't have to catch any more of those.
So if next payday somebody didn't get their check, we'll know that there were more than two.
Okay.
Okay, any other, yes, Dan?
Just like to throw out compliments to Road and Bridge after the storm, to getting the roads opened up. I know they got them clear where people could go through it now. They're going around picking up the trees, but I, for one, was blocked in both ways trying to get out of my house. And
That was probably your neighbors that did that.
it couldn't be. That happened all over the county, and they were out there and got those roads open really quick. I appreciate
We'll be
it.
talking a little bit about their pickup program too, so that's coming up. Okay, MoDOT has announced that we're going to get a new bridge. It's in the 25 construction year, and it's over Kings Road. Dan, Jay, John, you want to talk about that?
I can. This is one of the last 3 deficient bridges in the county. The total project cost is $636,000. That's just an estimate through MoDOT. They look at the square footage of bridge and just derive an estimate. It could be more than that. It could be less than that when the project's hard bid out. The county will be responsible for 11% of that, so you're looking at about $69,000, which we have in soft match credit. So
That's the Menard.
Yeah, the Menard deal. So that will not cost the county anything.
Go ahead, John, just ignore part of it.
That one was pretty good. This will not cost the county any money. So in the next couple weeks, you guys will get a program agreement that needs to be signed from MoDOT. That'll come to Dave probably first. Once that program agreement's done, then we would enter a contract with an engineer to design the bridge. And after that, when construction's ready, we would hard bid out the project.
I, for one, hate to see the end of this existing bridge because I have a history with that bridge.
It was the old Route 32.
Yeah, and the red line is the current Route 32, and this is the old highway. When I was a very young man, I was driving my Volkswagen from the bottom of that picture north, and as I eased onto that bridge, I saw a long-tailed monkey run around the backside of that bridge. I thought to myself, I ain't telling nobody this. And I didn't for a long time. But I finally realized I finally learned that Buzz Bell, who always had exotic animals, had a monkey escape for a while. So then I was able to tell people that I'd seen a long-tailed monkey on that bridge. So,
I don't know, Harold, I think it's just because they legalized marijuana.
You know it's legal now.
I went for a few years without telling anybody about that.
Monkey wasn't on your back.
Okay.
That bridge currently has a 3-ton weight limit.
Yeah. And one of the residents out there told me lately that he saw a tractor trailer loaded coming across that he knew had to cross the bridge.
So if we would have used VRO funds to demolish that bridge similar to Barry,
Watch out for the monkey.
we would not have received this grant money right here.
Now
So luckily,
also-
we kept the bridge open, kept the weight limit low. It still received allocation until they changed the VRO program, and this was entered in, and we were awarded the project. So, in the last couple of years, we've received Kings Road, Kings School Road, Silver Springs, Barry with the cost share grant. What else am I missing? Sand Creek. So that's about $3.5 million in bridge funds that we received.
John?
That will result in not costing the county anything.
School buses right now can't go over that bridge.
That's correct. We
They have
constructed
to
a
split it.
turnaround about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
On the south end of the bridge.
And trucks should not if they heed the 3-ton weight limit, but they do anyway.
Yeah. And as the guy that saw the truck passed, he said that had to be a pucker factor on that one, so. Okay, and thank you for the work on that. Storm damage, you want to talk about your?
Okay. All right, we had the storms move through last week, of course. We started working Wednesday evening when the storms first hit and worked around the clock all the way through the weekend. Our focus when these types of storms hit is just to open the road. We just push the trees back, open the road so that emergency services, our citizens can get through. Then we go back later and clean up the mess, which is what we are doing this week, throughout this week and probably next week. During this process, as we go to clean up all this storm debris, through the approval and the direction of the county commission, we will pick up storm debris from residents or landowners that have land that's adjacent to the county road. Now, we need to make that clear, because a lot of people have misunderstood. We put a release out in the 2 radio media outlets in regards to this, but it needs to be on the county maintained roadway. If you bring it out to the edge of the road, we will pick it up. And we're doing that throughout this week and probably most of next week. We're focusing on getting all this done so we can go back to our regular work. And
Now, your deadline is yesterday on.
It was yesterday. We said Monday. That gave them throughout the weekend to get this debris to the edge of the road, because we don't want to encroach on private property. We don't want to go off in people's yards or lands for liability reasons and for damage reasons. So if you get it to the edge of the road, on county roadway, county maintained roadway, we will pick it up.
Even a log?
Yes.
Okay.
We just ask that you don't
Just
clear your
don't
100 acres
keep
of
trapping.
storm damage and bring it.
And tree debris, we don't want you
Yeah.
bringing furniture and sheds. and-
What about my tires?
No. Tree,
Or flooded out carpet.
I think that in that release there, it's stated 2 or 3 times, tree debris, tree debris.
What do you do with it?
Then what are you gonna do with this?
Well, we will pile it. We have 3 different locations. The landfill will let us take it there during their regular hours. We have the North Barn facility at Bonne Terre, the old MoDOT shed, and then we have back behind the jail, our facility there. We dump it at one of those 3 locations to be disposed of at a later date. But for now, we just pile it.
Okay.
Pile it, dump it, pile. I think we hauled like 40 loads yesterday, just the first day.
Rich?
Yeah, Carrie, I want to thank you for all the work you've done, but Mike Gutt says it's not going to be the end of it this season. Mike Gutt says we're going to see some more of the
Tomorrow.
storms coming
We're supposed to see some bad
Tomorrow.
storms tomorrow, and
Yeah.
that may knock
Well,
some
thank
more
you for the
debris
work you've done
down.
already.
Is there more storm tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
I hadn't looked at it.
I wanted to mention that 2 weeks ago I prayed for rain, if you remember the farmers.
So we had,
Time to pray to call it off.
not only did we have this, we had flooding issues to deal with, and we want to get this done as quick as we can to go back to our regular work. Because every employee at Road and Bridge is focusing on this all this week, and most of next
You
week.
guys have done a great job.
Have you had any washouts?
Yes, yeah.
But nothing major, considering the rain we've had.
Well, then I wanted to put in, I go out with these guys every once in a while in them storms. You gotta realize what they do. When the electric's off, it's dark and they're driving those roads and you come up on a tree and you can't see lines down. And these guys are the first ones out there. A lot of people, you don't realize how you gotta appreciate that. They're out there. If UE's electric's out, these guys have to be there to get the debris out of the way for them to fix it. There's a lot more to it than what everybody realizes. They do a great
Talk
job.
about a squirrely situation, you got this tree down with electric wire in there.
And it's.
Well, and Ameren won't cut the tree. Their electricians will not cut the tree. They're just there to repair the electric lines. So sometimes we have to wait on Ameren, or sometimes Ameren waits on us. This particular storm, they brought in some subcontractors to help because we couldn't keep up.
And they went beyond the normal work that Ameren typically does on addressing the storm, which is good, but, okay, yeah, we go up to these lines are down, they're sparking, the trees are on fire, there's, you know. it's-
But as Nick knows, I talked to Nick Wednesday night. There were multiple house fires and emergency situations that they could not respond to because trees were down. So those were the ones that we were trying to accommodate first by getting the roads opened up. It was a very bad deal.
Yeah, in the rain, and, you know, during the storm.
I understand we had some storm-related fatalities with carbon monoxide gas. I think a man and his mother and their dogs died because they were running a generator in the house.
Yeah, there were actually 3 dogs died, and then the mother and son. And it's because of carbon monoxide running a generator within a closed area or in a house.
Yeah, it was in the breezeway with windows and everything open. I thought, well, it's got plenty of ventilation.
Okay, well, people gotta be careful with that stuff. Okay, well, thank you guys for your efforts on that. Here's the sales tax report for the month. And you see this, it's leveling, but it's still growing. These are compounded rates. So this is 1.84% above last August, which was a growth year, and it continues to be growing. So you don't see any red on there. There's no decrease anywhere in that list of numbers. So it is leveling, but it's still increasing. Now, here is the interesting one I talked about, Prop P. Look at what we generated last month in Prop P. Last month only, 367 plus thousand. And that's growing financially. It's, you can see that 157% growth over last month.
Harold, did you say that was just 1 month?
That's 1 month. Marks,
So
talk
a
about
little
that.
bit of this growth too, I mean, it's gonna continue like this, but that is also that Wayfair. It's not just the use, it's the Wayfair was also passed, that's these last 2 months.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we're seeing the huge jump the last 2 months, but, again, it's not like.
And we
that's
don't
a
know what the
one-time deal. That's-
continuing trend will be.
Yep.
But that's why we decided to buy police cars out of that money. That's right there is the number.
I understand that.
Also, that this month does not include, last month's, prime, was it
Oh.
prime sales, so I am very excited to see what that.
Me
may look
too.
like, 'cause I know there's a lot of.
Because I know my wife contributed quite a bit.
Me sometimes.
But also this weekend, there was no sales tax collected.
Yes, no, that is, now, that's just on school supplies.
School
right?
supplies, and is that local businesses only?
That was statewide.
Statewide, it's.
And the state in their wisdom decided, to once again, cut our fees, guaranteed at the cities and the state. I wonder how they appreciate it if you guys pass laws to cut the states.
So the state not at all?
The state, it was optional to the local entities whether to opt in or not, and they passed a bill this past spring to not give them that, take that option away that everybody had to participate, which is always nice to spend other people's money.
Okay, any questions? Okay, that is a report. Excuse me, I talked earlier, excuse me, on the consent agenda, they had this tax levy hearing posted. But it's on August 22nd, sorry, at 10 o'clock before our regular commission meeting, we'll have this hearing. And there are the rates, if you can read them. And the general revenue will be going to 2.95 cents. Now, the original tax rate was 31 cents plus. So we've rolled it back to practically zero on the general revenue. And that's from sales tax income. So we'll have that hearing in a couple of weeks.
And our treasurer is going to come up with the exact amount that we collected for that last year to give you an idea how much that is of our percentage of our budget.
Okay. Dollars, you mean, total dollars. Yeah. Okay. I didn't ask any other departmental reports.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Well,